Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Stargirl Season 3, and this is going to be my trailer breakdown for Episode 3 for the season, otherwise entitled The Blackmail. But of course, before we get into anything else, let's actually watch the trailer.
Attention, Blue Valley shoppers. We have a Super Revenge special taking place in Aisle 7 and Aisle 8, plus Aisles 9, 10, and 11.
Wait, what?
So last episode was a big one, pretty much pushed a lot of stuff forward. So we had for the main stuff, or the stuff we're talking about leading into this episode, there was a big spotlight on the suspects because that was the episode title. So there was a spotlight on Crusher and just the Crocs in general, the Shade, and then Cindy as well. Most of the discussion in the episode was around the Shade, but that's because he is appeared to be cleared by at least Sylvester. He was the main person going after the Shade and feels that, yep, he's innocent, we can move on. So really then the spotlight's gonna, shift elsewhere, and that's where at the end of the episode, there's more light shown, or the shining of more light on Cindy and the Crocs, and specifically around the Crocs, that they are hiding something. But we also do see that Cindy has the laptop of the gambler, which people were unsure where it was. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where things go, at least in this episode, but maybe beyond, following those two cliffhangers. But of course, before we jump into the actual breakdown of the trailer, which isn't too much to discuss, but it leads into some other stuff we'll discuss, but we still will go over the synopsis beforehand, which obviously gives us a bit more context as to what's going on. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below your various thoughts, predictions, theories, reactions, all that stuff. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, and you're looking forward to this episode of Stargirl next week, want to drop a like on the video to do all that. Courtney and the JSA receive an anonymous tip that could help in their murder investigation. Meanwhile, after being told to find balance, Sylvester looks into potential jobs in Blue Valley while also trying to figure out who he is without his Starman identity. Yeah, the synopsis there tells us a bit more than the trailer, but just to start off quickly, it's just a follow on from last episode, which I did not bring up. And at the end, you have the Crocs sort of like worrying about people finding out something, and I'm like, were the Crocs talking about the authorities potentially finding out about them when they were talking at the end of the episode? Like, we saw Crusher decide against getting payback on the gambler and driving away. We saw that towards the beginning of the episode. And of course, we still haven't heard anything about how they have not been caught after getting out of prison. From what we know, Artemis just broke them out from the end of last season from memory. They weren't willingly released. So unless it's just an error leading into this season because there's a break and stuff like that, but maybe it's what they're worried about. So maybe that leads into this episode. So not only are they potentially suspects for that, but also this whole prison thing. But yeah, as you can tell from watching the trailer, it does seem to really, really focus in on just one segment, if not like 5, maybe 10-minute period of the episode. And then there's like a little reaction part from Courtney at the end, who probably isn't reacting to what went on in the other stuff in the trailer. But yeah, Sylvester, or Starman, is hunting down the Crocs. Well, Crusher and Paula. There's no Artemis in sight, at least in what we see in the trailer. And he has the cosmic staff. Now, as I said earlier, Sylvester has cleared the Shade in his mind of being involved in any way with the murder of the gambler, but he didn't rule anyone else out. Everyone else that's still a suspect, whether it's in Sylvester's mind or the JSA's mind or Pat's mind or whatever, they're still up for grabs. You know what I mean? Only the Shade was cleared. So maybe that is the goal for him in this episode, to move deeper into that investigation. Now, we know that suspicions were raised when they knew that the Shade was at the gambler's trailer within the 12 hours leading up to his death. That's really what pushed Sylvester a lot in that episode. But I wonder if Sylvester finds out that Crusher, or at least the Croc's car, was near the gambler's trailer as well. Whether that's from tire marks, or maybe some security footage, or maybe even Crusher admits to being there when being questioned. He's like, yeah, I did go check, and I was gonna do this and do that, but I held back. And seeing that this is an action sequence between Sylvester and the Crocs in the grocery shop, I would assume this is towards the end of the episode, or at least the back half of the episode. So there's going to be some stuff that leads up to this throughout at least the opening half of episode 3. Now, as I said before, at the end of last episode, the Crocs were getting, or looking, a little bit sus, acting like imposters, but that could be because of the jailbreak thing. But then again, maybe they know that there is something on that laptop that they are scared of getting out there. Like whether it's ISA information or whatever it is. Or maybe there's some evidence left behind at the scene from getting out there. It's an interesting one for sure, because I'm not overly confident of which angle they are going to attack this at, to be completely honest. And also, you know, even in the morning when Barbara went to work, Barbara didn't even know really what was going on, but Paul is there to make sure that she can plead her innocence. I'm like, you're jumping the gun there. Like, sometimes a guilty person will get out of the way first, not things like organically happen. But then again, maybe she just thinks, well, we're the, you know, the quote unquote criminals that have just moved into town, so I want to clear my name off the board straight away. It's a really hard one to look at, and just, you can't really just sit there and cross the crocs off the suspect list right now, just because you can never be too sure. Like, I don't think anyone would be 100% sure they didn't at least have a role in it, or even just maybe even just knew what happened. So I'm sure there's going to be a certain amount of things that unfold in this episode, hopefully. But also, maybe, and this does seem simple. I know it seems simple, but maybe Sylvester just finds out that they escaped prison, and it's going to take them back. He's like, hey, I don't like the fact you escaped prison. I sort of don't want you here, so if I can get you out of here, then I will. But then again, he is really going at them pretty fiercely with the cosmic staff in the grocery shop and just messing up that shop in general in the process. So this could just be his anger getting out of control when he's attacking them like this. Like, even that last bit in the car park, like, he's doing some pretty big damage. So maybe this could just be Sylvester getting out of control. Now, one of the big things is the title of the episode. Like, who is blackmailed? Obviously, the title suggests some blackmail, otherwise it wouldn't be called The Blackmail. I mean, episode 1 was called The Murder. We saw the murder. Episode 2 was called The Suspects. We went over a good amount of suspects. So, the blackmail, what's going on there? And I've got some options here as to potentially who it could be or who it revolves around. But at the end of the day, it could be like an anonymous blackmail as well. It could be someone that sends a letter to Pat or Crusher or Sylvester or Beth or Rick, and it's like an anonymous thing, but saying, I know this about you. Stop, you know, putting your fingers in these pies, otherwise this is going to come out. So that could be the blackmail. It could be anonymous, but if it's someone that we know, maybe here's some options. So maybe it could be the Crocs, or at least specifically Crusher to Pat and Barbara. We saw Crusher come in episode 1 and sort of threaten Pat a bit about the whole gamble thing, so he could easily do it again. It could be someone to Courtney saying, hey, I know that you're Stargirl. I know that you're Stargirl. I'll let that information get out there if you keep investigating this, because Courtney's really the one pushing it, I guess, alongside Sylvester. Another option, it could be Cindy, you know, to who she thinks the murderer is based off the intel she gets from the laptop. So maybe she finds something and goes, hey, I can use this for my leverage, and she blackmails someone. Or it could be someone blackmailing Cindy for maybe something that she finds on the laptop or something along those lines. So there could be some options there. And finally, maybe it could even just be Sylvester towards the Crocs in order for them to comply. Like, he won't report them and say, hey, he's missing prisoners, as long as they go along with what he wants. Like, that's a potential option there. That last one, sort of similar to the last one before, in regards to like the whole prison situation, is probably the more boring one, but it's still an option. Now, there's still the question on who the murderer is, and even just like the whole big bad situation. Now, I have sort of like an early pick for who the murderer maybe could be, and it's like a wild theory, but it could be this. And of course, I know we have the cliffhanger from the end of season 2 with Mr. Bones and the Helix Institute, and we know they're going to play a part later this season. You know, I think like by episode 6 or 7, we'll probably see that start to play out. But the whole thing with the Thunderbolt and that the killer has many faces thing with Mike and Jakeem in the bathroom, it makes me think, and this is probably wrong, but it's just a bit of fun to bring up, I guess. But yeah, all that stuff for some reason just makes my mind go to Johnny Sorrow. Johnny Sorrow is a JSA and Stargirl villain in the comics, part of the ISA points, who has just this messed up face that's behind a mask that causes anyone to die that sees it. So it's like a basilisk from Harry Potter, pretty much. So maybe that's why they weren't clear, or there weren't clear injuries to the gambler until the autopsy, where they found that there was a stab wound, which seemed to be like not really easy to find at the scene, which could have been placed after, you know, being properly killed in order to lead investigations towards a, you know, quote unquote normal person who would use a simple knife or blade, maybe even trying to frame Cindy or something like that. And with the Johnny Sorrow thing, it's like a man in many faces. Maybe they change it for the show where he just wears, Johnny Sorrow just has different masks and, or whatever it might be, or maybe people seeing him as a different thing. So maybe like, it's not necessarily seeing his face that kills you, but when he wants to, he can just, whatever you see will kill you, if that makes sense. But just if you walk past him, I could see him as Brad Pitt. But you walk past him and you see him as Seth Rogen. Or I know I'm naming people like that, but you know what I mean? You see different people. When you see Johnny Sorrow, then when he wants to kill you, you get that messed up thing that happens. Could be something like that, and that could lead now to this whole, the killer has many faces, because, I mean, that would sort of work, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's probably a stupid wild theory, but I thought I'd chuck it out there. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let's wait and see. But yeah, there's no promo images, unfortunately. We got like the episode 1 and 2 promo images like 2 or 3 weeks before the episodes aired, but we haven't got the episode 3 ones. Maybe there's spoilers in there. I mean, the trailer shows nothing outside of one scene, so maybe they're trying to hide stuff. I don't know. But yeah, nothing to talk about at the moment, so we'll wait, I guess. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about everything we went over. I'm always curious to hear what you guys are thinking, especially in regards to any theories you might have. What do you think of the Johnny Sorrow thing? Lame? Good? Maybe? Terrible? Let me know. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.